Welcome to number 15, the last one in the journey. Woohoo! Thanks to you guys for making it all the way through to the end. And maybe Oliver will jump on with us in a minute or not, but I want to go on record as saying all three of us have missed at least one other session, but Oliver, he was going to get the gold star because he made it all the way through. Wow. Except for today. But he still might jump in here. If he does, don't say anything about that. But I tell you, mainly what I wanted to do today was to celebrate and also to debrief. So I want you to be thinking about, something along this journey that we're definitely celebrating. I mean, it's obvious that, we have launched a new campus, and that's when I think of all of the hurdles and the steps involved to get us to this point. It's really amazing, guys. And it's so many people have contributed so much. And now, as they say, the real work begins. So, but be thinking of what you can celebrate, but also I want you to also seriously about this. I'd like us to debrief in a kind of a way. If there's anything that you could think, well, if we did this again, maybe it would help if we did it this way, or if we added this component. Is there anything at all that you can throw into the suggestion box? You know what I mean? So that'll be a little bit later in the meeting. But first, I want us to look one last time at Tod Bolsinger, the book Canoeing the Mountains, and talk through chapter 15. I think that I've said this every time, but I really liked this chapter. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I hope that you guys did too. I wanted to bring out, the things that I enjoyed, but if one of you guys want to jump in and kick us off and get us going, that'd be great too. Anybody ready to share? Do you need a moment to gather your thoughts? Anybody want to jump right in there?
Pastor Keith, I don't have my book with me.
Oh, you don't have your book with you?
So I'm going to let you go, brother.
I was going to prefer to Mo, but since it doesn't have a book.
I'm so sorry. I had my book with me today at school, and then I left it in my truck. So
oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
This whole chapter was so good.
Well, one of the things, let me start us off and kick us off, and you guys can definitely add into this, and maybe it'll trigger some thoughts for you. But one of my favorite parts is, and it would be at page 211 down at the very last paragraph, is where I realize something that I have said for years. But then I was sort of glad to go, well, there's actually a word for that. I didn't know it was a real thing, but the word is differentiation. Yeah. He's talking about differentiation, and the way he's using it is just like this. And this is the way I've always said it. Whenever you go through times where you have to really be vulnerable and make decisions and try to just put yourself out there. Right. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just something, what's right. The right thing to do, but it's very difficult to do. And that somebody might dislike it or be upset about it. What I always try to do is to ask myself, if somebody else was the pastor, what would I hope they would do? Like if I could get myself out of the equation and just sort of disconnect from it and look at it objectively, what would I hope somebody else would do? And then I try to step back into my shoes and have the courage to do it. And I think that, and so he calls that differentiation. He says, bottom of 211, differentiation enables the leader to stay with the group in the most difficult moments even when the group is blaming the leader for the difficulties. Exploration so challenges our illusions of competence, so triggers strong reaction of others, and so often leads to enough conflict that it requires differentiation to psychologically endure as a leader. If every failed experiment, every strong reaction, every attempted act of sabotage, and every difficult conversation is a personal attack, then we will grow weary. But if we can maintain a sense of separate identity without the need to disconnect relationally, then the challenging realities of leadership can be reframed as part of the terrain, sort of like harsh weather, just part of the expense, like lodging in a big city, or part of the natural difficulties, like sore feet after a long adventure. It's just something that you have to put up with, you know? So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I think it is good if we as leaders can just say, okay, I'm going to step back and just look at it objectively. What would I do? What would I hope someone else would do if they were the leader of this right now?
Yeah.
Differentiation. I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. And for the most part, I'd say for 95% of or higher of this whole experience, everything has been so positive and so encouraging. I did have a comment from somebody I didn't even know I met last week, someone who, let me say this gently, is an octogenarian. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
8 decades plus. Okay.
Oh,
okay. And who doesn't even go to our church, who lives in the area, but was just so hurt that we had changed the name of the church. And as I tried to talk with her, I don't even have words for it, but the Lord spoke to me literally while she was talking, and she was sincere. She wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but the Lord just spoke to my heart that what you're seeing right now is really, this is the spirit of religiosity. It's when something is so special that don't touch that, you know. And so anyway, but I was able to disconnect and just look back and think, you know, I was accommodating, I was very polite and cordial, loving, explained my views and the reasons why and the rationale and all of that. And sometimes it helps to just be able to say, well, it's all about vision. It's all about the leading of the Lord. God bless you. And, you know, we had to do what we did. And so anyway.
So that's how you handle it. I was going to ask you how you handle it. And you explain the vision and the reason and the leading of the Lord.
Yeah, definitely. And so you just never know what is important to someone who is, how would you describe it, really looking on, you know, from outside. And but they're always watching. But I really emphasize that I said 95%, it's probably 99%. There's been so much positive, so much good. And it's very easy for us to look at the one negative comment and forget the 25 great comments, you know. And but what was it, a couple of weeks ago, it was kind of along these lines, saying you just expect when change happens, there's just sabotage is just part of it. Just expect that there's going to be some stuff and that's okay, you know. So what else? Anything else stand out to you guys?
Hey, Keith, just a quick comment. I heard you use the word disconnect.
Yeah.
You had to use that word a couple of times.
And maybe that's not a good choice. I'm not sure.
Actually, I think it's a good one because, you know, one thing that I've tried to do through the years too, and I'm not good at it, but if you don't disconnect, it does become an attack. And
Right.
it's not an attack on you. It's but one thing that I've always tried to do is, Lord, it's your church. You know, it's not my church,
Amen.
it's your church, and we're just trying to follow the plan that you've laid out. And but
Amen.
anyways, I think it's a good word. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that,
Yeah,
Mo. Yeah, it is his church, and isn't that true? Our definition of success needs to be the Lord's will, nothing more, nothing less, nothing else. The Lord's will. It's
amen.
his church. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
One of the things that I've struggled with through the years, especially when I was young and pastoring and plant churches and stuff, is this emotional attachment to instances of sabotage or criticism or something, and it makes you take on the personal responsibility like you're God, and we're not God. We're just his pastors and his stewards. That we do the best we can, and it's like this has just helped so much in reiterating the disconnect, like Mo said, or the differentiation, like the author said. It's a good. Those are good words.
Yeah.
To try to disconnect from the personal attacks. You will become weary.
Yeah.
If everything is personal, it's just.
Definitely. And I got to say, it's a really good feeling when you are able to deflect a comment such as that and just really look back on it and it truly in your heart say, Lord, you know my heart and our team and how closely we're following to you and trying our very best to discern from you, and sort of in a way that that comment in the book, a couple of them actually, the leader's the one that's not pointing the fingers at anybody else. And also to realize when people express things like this, they're not necessarily expressing, how do they say it? It's not so much the change itself, but they're grieving the loss of something. And so to be able to just go back and say, well, I get it. If something has been very, very special to you for decades, and then you see it changing, that's hard. I totally understand that. But I also, what I started to say, it's really good to be able to, in your heart, know that's okay. I know exactly what we're doing, and I feel very good about it, And so there was a really great part in here, too, where they had made it all the way to the other side.
Yeah.
They saw the ocean and they're so happy about that. But then a month later, it really starts to hit them. Man, we made it, but now we're still a long way from home. And here we are on the other side of the country and there is no waterway. It was 160 miles of rough mountain, another 40 miles of trudging through the snow, plus just another 150 miles of just regular old hiking. It was a hard, hard journey from where we first left our canoes to get to here. And they were also hoping, because Thomas Jefferson had told them, if when you get to the other side, if you happen to see a ship passing by on the ocean, and if you're able to signal them with a fire or whatever and stop them, here's a letter from me, the President of the United States, saying you have the permission to get on board that ship and sail all the way back home, and sort of like first class journey going back home. And you can do that. But they didn't see any ships. And then they could have just really hunkered down and thought, man, how do we make it? But instead of that, instead of any of those things, Clark and Lewis, they get the idea, hey, you know what? Rather than just head back, why don't you go north and I'll go south and we'll each head east. And then at some point we'll hook up back on the journey. Why? because there was still a lot of exploring to do. And I just, man, I love that spirit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, to never arrive and say, we made it, we finished, and it's time to rest on our laurels. Instead of that, it was, you know, let's keep exploring. Let's keep looking for the new thing.
Yeah. There's a part on 208. I think it kind of goes along with this, you know, instead of getting down into the status quo, okay, like we always do, it says, the second paragraph, well, on 208, right there at the first sentence, it says discovery and exploration do not so much answer all of our questions as they help us to consider new questions. That's why they said, well, there's more to explore. You know, I mean, there's more to go. And this is a critical for leaders in every circumstance. And then there's a little paragraph there. It says, an attribute of an imaginatively gridlock relationship system is a continual search for new answers to old questions rather than to reframe the questions themselves.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever seen like a Christian or a newscaster, you know, an interview? Okay, like there's an interview, whether it's a secular news or Christian news or whatever, and they're asking questions that just by the questions, you know, they're setting up the answer.
Right. Yeah.
They're setting up the answer. It's boring. You know what they're going to say. Okay, that's kind of like that. We get into that status quo in organizations and churches. We get into we're asking the same questions, you know, and it's just always the same treadmill. Whereas I like what they did. This book, they ask the question why, and they are constantly rooting out the core issues. You know what I mean? That's
really, really good stuff. You know, Gordy, I like that part too. And the phrase, and you read it, he mentioned it a couple of different times, imagination gridlock.
Yeah.
Like just stuck and not able to think of it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example. There's nothing worse than watching boring TV news where there's an interview and it's the question is framed in a way to give them, you know, the answer that they want, and it's just like in softball we used to say, just throw me some meatloaf right down the middle of the plate. You know exactly where you're going to hit it. And, don't give me a softball pitch. Give me something I'll have to think through and wrestle with. So, yeah, that was so good. Well, guys, that I've loved this book. Let's take a moment to debrief on the whole process. And if there's, and I genuinely mean this, if there's any suggestions on, hey, this would help a lot if we could do this, man, for sure. If anything comes to mind now or later on, bring it up, because I don't know for sure if we'll use this model again, but we do hope to launch a third campus. A lot depends on how successful is this campus going to be, and what do we need to do to get traction and you know, to get critical mass and make sure it's all moving in the right way. But if God just blesses our efforts and if it all falls into place, we may be going through this again as we get either to next fall or when we're able to in the following fall, or who knows just how the Lord opens that up. Any suggestions? You guys have, is there anything you go, well, it would really help if we could do this or change this? Any stuff like that?
Well, I just think that the asking the questions and experimentation and somehow to have some type of way to do this constructive, you know, conversation on an ongoing basis, maybe not every week or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, some type of leadership council, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just trying to word what I think. Maybe a, what do they call it when they set up a thing in an organization, or especially a church, an
advisory,
a group, not it. Well, you've got the pastor's council for that. A committee. That's the word I'm thinking.
Oh,
about.
okay. Okay.
Committee or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just something to address this, maybe on an ongoing basis.
So what I heard you saying is it helps to just hear the words. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
We're open to ideas. Just hearing that alone is a good thing. Like, give feedback, and so I think that can take a lot of different forms, probably. But
yeah.
So yeah.
I want to say, first of all, I think the process has been very thorough. I think it would be beneficial for us to just keep this vision before the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, however we do that, just, you know, even if it's just a touch here or there,
mm-hmm.
you know, but we're always just putting that vision before the people. You know,
that's great, because even yesterday at church it was not that out of the ordinary. It was pretty typical, but there's so much going on. There's such a full day. Gordy, you might imagine this, but Pastor Mo was running from early on. You were there when I got there, and I got up at 4:30 yesterday, and I did a lot of stuff here, but I didn't go to church immediately. But when I did get there, I found that Mo was already there, and he's running his legs off doing things. And I was the same way right up to church time. It was just very full. And the thing about that is, though, that I got home yesterday afternoon, and and we had a great day. It was a great day, but with all of it, I realized, you know what I forgot to do is to mention, by the way, we're celebrating that we launched our new campus. Don't forget, November 20th is the next service. You know, we need to just continually make it part of our, you know.
Little touches here and there, you know, just any chance we can. And I wanted to ask you, should we go ahead now and start saying welcome to Vesett Church? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing, is that yesterday was definitely the one pivot Sunday. We're in no man's land, aren't we? We've got the name Vesett Church, but then when we get ready to start the live stream, Oliver's in the booth, and he goes, "Oh, look at that! It says welcome to Buckeye First Assembly." And he's like, "Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we just
that's what we got right now." Yeah.
So anyway, but it is, Mo. I think the whole church kind of felt that way yesterday. Everyone's kind of feeling like, are we yet or are we not? You know.
And I'm glad I asked, because I thought we were. And I'm okay with it. I just thought it was going to be like at the beginning of the year.
Well,
if we want to go ahead and start, then I'm going to start saying welcome to Vesett Church, you know.
Yeah. Well, and the way it happened too, I really was waiting to start that, and you're correct. I had said, let's wait until we do all the improvements out front.
Yeah.
And then we'll put the new signs up, and then that way it would just be a real natural thing. So but that's where the confusion came in.
That's a touch, you know, just saying, welcome to Vesett Church.
Yeah.
It is.
That's kind of keeping that vision.
It is
for the people. So
so let's go ahead with it. And also the changes are happening out front. Boy, the old trees and bushes are gone. The new sprinkler system, the drip system, is almost in place. Here's Oliver. He's trying to get his gold star. And so
there he is.
And so a lot of great things are happening. So, hey, there's Oliver. How are you? Can you hear me? Hey, Oliver.
Hey, Pastor.
Howdy, hello, neighbor. Hey, listen, we were joking around. We said that, you know, all three of us have missed at least one session, but not Oliver. He would have got the gold star, but he missed today.
Yeah. I missed that gold star, buddy. Man.
Welcome. We actually, what we've done today, Oliver, and you can go back and watch it, but basically we're just debriefing and celebrating. We went through the book already, and the debrief part is kind of a suggestion box. Is there anything you could say, hey, maybe it would help if we do this, you know, next time, or, you know, add this to our approach, or anything at all. And the celebration part, man, we've got so much to celebrate at the end of 15 weeks here. So we were just about to transition to that. Do you got anything for the suggestion box, Oliver? As you've gone through the whole process. Anything that you say, boy, it would have helped if we did this?
No, I think everything went pretty smooth, especially since it's Zoom. We can do this from anywhere. I mean, I've gotten on in Huntington Beach. I've got on in Arizona.
Right.
I think I would keep it just the same. It just I forgot today.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, so we've had some good discussion. One of the things that Mo just brought up right before you jumped on, and he said, is it okay to go ahead and refer to ourselves as Besant Church now? And I kind of was confusing, I think, because I had told you guys, and I mentioned it to the lead team, we'd wait to transition it at the first of the year for the main campus because we had a lot of improvements going on. But man, we're there. So we're calling it Besant Church. Yesterday felt like we were doing a pivot sort of in between, but we're definitely up and rolling. And I just was telling the guys too that we're making huge strides outside. It's the front curb appeal of the building. We're going to be, I think, ready in the next week or two to get new signs out there, and it's really going to just be beautiful out front. Once we get the zero landscaping in, it's going to look. There's going to be continuity to the landscaping, and just when you walk up, it's going to just look really nice. So anyway, so then what do we celebrate? We've got only 5 minutes left. It's telling me 5 minutes, 30 seconds. So I'd like to hear from each one of you something that you've really enjoyed. It might be about these Zoom sessions. Maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it was the lead team meetings, or being part of church name committee, or any of the stuff you've done, reading the book. One major thing that just you want to celebrate but on this last big hoorah.
Hey, I'll jump in real quick. I want to celebrate the first service that we had. I mean, it's the culmination, it's the fruition of all the hard work, and that first service that we had already was amazing, and hats off to all of y'all.
Yeah.
That, just real quick.
Echo that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I just felt like the delivery of the worship and the message, the content of the whole package was amazing. It was just, for me, honestly, I was just fighting back tears. I just wanted to sit there and weep because it was just so beautiful.
That is so good.
I wish I could have made that first one, but I'm planning on November 20th, and we'll figure out the steps. We'll figure that out somehow. You guys might have to carry me up.
That won't be a problem.
And
that'll be a 6-man carry there, buddy. So.
Oliver had an idea that we might have an overflow room with audio down there, and just maybe, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But we, one way or another, we may just carry you upstairs. One thing about being in that upper room, though, this is a word of caution to Oliver: be careful and don't preach through the night. Somebody might fall out of the window and die, and you'll have to raise them from the dead.
Amen.
Got it.
this this book has, and this conversation with you guys, and this whole thing that I was able to be in, you know, when I came in, that I was able to be part of it. It really has just helped me personally so much as a leader, just, you know, to look beyond yourself and be a team player, and, you know, and the disconnect, not taking things personally, but able to handle, you know, the sabotage and these other issues and stuff. It's just a great book. And this is going to be on my 100 book reading list, you know, the one you can go through, you know, often. Yeah.
Oh, good. Thanks for sharing
really
that. I'm so glad it really was on a personal level, just really ministered to you. That's great. That's bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you? Is there anything you want to share?
Yeah, you know, the thing I enjoyed about this whole thing, the whole process, was we didn't do it just for academic reasons. We didn't do it just to have meetings. We didn't do it just to fill time. We had a vision, we had a goal, and we put it together by prayer, by the Spirit, but by actions as well. Faith without works is dead. We put the work in there. We saw it from infancy, from planning to infancy to that first service and beyond. And I'm just so proud of everyone that showed up, everyone that prayed through. I mean, I'm talking from the very beginning on. Everyone that said a word of encouragement. Everyone that just was part of this vision. Because it's all of our babies. It's you know, it's something that we all can say, hey, I've got a part in that. Yeah. You know, when we get to heaven and we stand before God, you know, we can say, you know, that Verado campus or the Tartesso campus or the Estrella campus, the main campus, we all had a part in that because we had singleness of heart, one vision. Amen.
Amen. Love it. Well, I want to encourage you guys. Here's what I think we as a church family are going to experience in the next couple of weeks as we're going through the fall. Every end of October through November, as a church family, there's a difficult thing for us as a church family because a lot of our guys are part of the power outage out at the power plant, and different things are happening, different scheduled things. But I've seen every year, there comes that Sunday where it's like, everybody's all together again. It just feels good. And it's like a moment of celebration. And I want you guys with me to capitalize on that. And let's lead from the front. You know, that we're so thrilled with what God is doing and has done. And I've seen it with you, Oliver, just even breaking out in applause at different times. It's just, it's contagious. It's exciting. Amen. So love you guys. And my only prayer is that as we do it next time, I'm hoping that God gives us people of color and some females to join this group. I think that's going to be part of the next leg of the journey. I love all of you. Hope you have a great rest of the day.